Today is the 29th of December 2017. I'd like to take you on a virtual tour of our property from the convenience of Google Earth. We live at the foothills of the Blue Ridge Mountains in the Shenandoah Valley of Virginia. Our property is 6 acres, about 1/3 of which is woods. We're at about 1,200 feet in elevation. The ground is mostly flat, and we are in a growing zone 6. Our goal in this land is to heal it. We want to heal this land because it has been abused by industrial agricultural practices for decades. And to that end, we are aiming at increasing soil and soil fertility. We're trying to grow a healthy soil here. We're working at water retention, and we are aiming at having a fairly large ecological diversity. Much of permaculture design is about patterns and flow. And with that in mind, we design a system whereby certain areas are visited more often, areas of heavy traffic and a lot of activity. And with that, we typically break the design into 5 zones, namely 4 or 5 zones, and essentially number 1 is given to the areas that have the most dynamic activities going on there. So the most traffic is the areas that need the more attention. And so as you move down through zones 2 and 3 and 4 up to zone 5, obviously zone 5 mean in permaculture we associate that with areas that need no attention at all. So in other words, kind of sanctuaries where we let nature run its own course. With that in mind, this is what we have been doing in our property. This first section, obviously we call that permaculture zone 0. That's where our house, our dwelling is. But following that is permaculture zone 1. So highlighted in purple is our zone 1. It's a small area, but it's a very intense area. We grow a number of herbs. We grow what we call our kitchen garden. So it's where you come to pick up some cherry tomatoes for your salad, or your salad that you need right away. But also we have some other plants around here. And as you continue to go around, notice that there's some sections at the end, or actually farther down, obviously not as close to the house. That could easily be a zone 2. But we have that because there's a lot of food preparation there when we keep pulled out stuff from the main garden, which I'll talk about in a second. Or where we do, where we have a little nursery and all that. So we refer to all of that as zone 1. Our zone 2 is highlighted in a lighter purple colored, and for us, these are the main areas of food production. Now, in our case, these are pretty large areas, but this is where we grow our market garden for our CSA. And so also, these are areas where we keep animals, so the chickens are around here, and the ducks and mostly the poultry are typically around this area when we have baby chicks or so, those that need attention several times during the day. Now, highlighted in orange are our zone 3. For us, we use zone 3 for pastured, for our goats, and for our pasture chickens, our broilers or so, which we visit once or twice during the day. And as you can see, they're farther away from the house, except obviously for the one right across from the house, and that is a particular one because that area there next to the house is where our septic drain field is. So we don't do much there by means of growing crops. Actually, we use that as a recreational area, but we let the chickens graze there and the goats, and so it works as a little bit as a pasture too. Our zone 4 is highlighted in green, and this is a semi-wilderness area where the children come and play, but this is where we come and chop, sticks and wood to make fires, and that we harvest from, but we don't actively design or implement many new things in it. Finally, highlighted in green is our Zone 5. As you can see, it is the farthest away from the house. This is stuff that we don't touch. We come here to learn from nature. And so occasionally, if there's a tree down or so, we come and harvest that. But that's the goal of this area is just to serve as that, a sanctuary. And so we don't do much by means of design in this area either. But I like to focus primarily on our zones 2 and 3 in this presentation. Because these are areas, there's a lot of work going on here. There's a lot of visits in here. And so the first one is what we refer to as our main crop garden. Actually, we call it the St. Isidore's garden. Most of what we grow here, and you can see it to the left of your screen there, that area that's highlighted in brownish there. This is combined, 2 plots, is about half an acre that we have been growing crops. And we've been using that for our CSA and for our own consumption. The second area here is the first garden that we started here. We refer to it as the St. Francis Garden, something that I've been working on a lot lately because it was designed as a half annual crops, half perennials, but I hadn't really had much time to work on the perennials or food forest section of it, which is what I've been implementing now. So that is the area that I have been working on most recently. These other sections where we have the brown and green things, these are kind of a next stage or next step, I should say, into our design process. These are going to be 3 fairly large swales with food forests that we're going to implement in the property. And so get 1 on the left side and 2 on the right side. We have studied the topography and identified some of the contours. And so we have some areas that we have indicated we're going to be digging some swales and grow some food here. And in between those areas, here comes something that is really fascinating. We're going to have these alley pastures. What these alley pastures are is a series of paddocks, sections where we're going to be able to graze our animals, chickens, goats, and eventually a dairy cow and a calf. And so by doing this, we're going to be able to do rotational grazing, therefore not being too stressful on the soil and being able to move the animals around, give the soil a chance to recover after it's been grazed. This is something that a lot of people have been doing quite successfully. It's a great strategy for soil building and something that we're very excited about. Because I have been working and will continue to work on this for the next month or so in this section, the St. Francis Garden. I'm going to come back to this and explore some of the elements of the design in more detail. I like to start by sharing some of the elements that are already in place. And that section, the corner there is highlighted in yellow. We have a little greenhouse there, which is also doubles up as a nursery. Little hoop house that we built a few years ago and has been incredibly useful for starting seeds, for keeping plants in the winter. This is an area where we've mostly been growing annuals. And so this was designed, a series of garden beds on contour, tried to maximize, to retain as much water as possible. This area we will continue to use as a annual crop growing area. We grow vegetables here for our use, for our own consumption, and also for our CSA. To the right of the greenhouse, just head to the west. Now you see that little blue figure there. That's an important element. There's a little pond that we're building, and part of the intention here is to catch some of the water that comes from the west. There's a gentle slope here and a little valley right where that blue mark is. And so we're hoping to be able to catch some rainwater there. Next, this is a network of footpaths that is going to serve us as obviously the borders to the number of beds, garden beds that we're gonna have in this area. Now we get to see the actual beds, and these are essentially perennial crops that are going to be planted here, and so I don't have a specific plan as for the species that will go here, although some of them are already in place. We have a very nice asparagus bed, we have strawberries, we have rhubarbs, we have elderberries, we have currants, and a number of other things, raspberries. We'll expand on that on those, and I'll bring in some other elements to that. And so here we have a variety of fruit trees that are already planted. We have many, well, not only fruit trees, we also have supporting species. We have some black locust, we have some mimosa trees, but we have apples, we have a couple of persimmon trees, we have some mulberry trees. And as I said, there's going to be a few more coming that I haven't decided quite yet where I'm going to place them, but at least I have an idea, and with the garden already outlined, it shouldn't be too hard for me to decide where things are going to go and then design around it. So my goal is that by the end of winter, all these areas are going to be, all the laydowns, all the garden beds are going to be built so that when spring comes, I'm just going to be ready to start planting heavily this area. I'm being so detailed with this section, as I say, because I'm working on it and I'm going to continue to work on this over the next few weeks or so. So this might be useful as I get to work into the details to have something I can refer viewers to in light of the greater design. And so also it's a great way for me to keep checking as to where my thoughts are at any specific time. So anyways, I will stop here. I hope you've enjoyed this virtual tour. that as I've been playing with Google Earth, I'm sure there's so many more things fancy things that I can do that I still don't know. It's just my own playing around with it, but that's all I've been doing. I'll be happy to answer any questions that you may have, or if you have any tips as to how to better use Google Earth or any other, design tools that you may have, please share them below. Otherwise, I wish you the best. Blessings to all. Thank you for visiting, and please come back.